Hi, everyone. This is Greg Dwyer, and welcome back to the Executive Summit. Today we're going to talk about first base. It's all about discipline. Now, before we get to first base, it is so important that we master home, which is all about desire. So let me ask you this question at the top of this call. How well did you do this week crafting your desire on paper? In other words, how well did you write down your goals? What about the journaling section of the Business Builder when it came to your perfect day? Did you find yourself writing that down? Or did you find yourself resisting it or procrastinating, not getting it done, putting it off to the last minute, or not even doing it at all? Now, each week we send you emails which talk about the class that we talked about last week, and it relates to desire, the why you're playing this game called direct sales and network marketing. Did you get those emails? Did you find yourself thinking about it, meditating, answering those questions, and sending them back? If you remember on the first call, I said that this course and also the Business Builder is going to be like a mirror, and it's going to reflect back to you what your true intentions are. So all you have to do is look at the goals section or the journaling section of your Business Builder or the game plan interview, and that work is either done or it's not done. Now, the reason I say this is not to be judgmental and not to put people down. It's just that I want to bring your awareness up of what you do and why you do what you do. If you find yourself putting this off and having a bunch of excuses or maybe procrastination that's really running rampant in your life and your business, you may want to take a look at that because in most cases, that's what's running the show. So, before we get to first base, let me just give you the foundation again. You have to understand why you're playing this game before you're ever going to get to first base, which is the discipline. This game is mastered internally first, understanding your desire and getting really clear about why you want to play this game. See, that's the one thing that's going to keep you in this game long enough so that you can master first base and second base and third base and then back to home. So hopefully you did some work on the game plan interview for last week. Hopefully you were able to think about some of your goals. Or the journaling section, you started writing down what your perfect day would look like and what your life would look like and how you would feel 6 months from now and a year from now receiving a compensation check from your company. What's going to drive you is really your purpose. See, we can tell people what to do. We can say, look, here's the Business Builder, and here's how the tabs work and the indexer. But until you understand your purpose and what's driving you, which is probably your values, you're probably not going to stick around long enough. So that's why we really tell people you got to get clarity on home as far as your desires. So what are some of the things that are driving you? Hopefully last week you started thinking about this and you got the ball in motion. Is it security? Is that the thing that really drives you? Like you really want to be secure in your life, and so that's why you're playing this game. It's all about security, having enough money in the bank, and being secure. Is that the thing that's driving you, or is it freedom? Is it freedom to come and go and do whatever you want? Is that the thing that's driving you? Some people, what they value the most out of life is freedom. The freedom to express themselves, the freedom to come and go as they please. Or maybe it's happiness. You just want to have fun, you want to be happy, and that's why you're playing this game. Or maybe it's just simply peace of mind. You're looking for peace of mind, you're looking for contentment, or maybe you're looking for excitement or power. Or maybe on the other side of the spectrum, it's family, it's marriage, it's the ability, hey, listen, I'm tired of commuting, I want to stay home with my husband, my wife, my kids. Family is important to me, and that's why I'm building this business. Family and friends and marriage. Or maybe it's just making a difference in people's lives. that's what lights you up. It's having influence on people and changing their life. Maybe it's changing their health, or maybe it's changing their finances, or making a difference, or maybe it's spirituality, or independence. You just want to be independent. All your life you've been told what to do, and you want to be independent, and you want to be able to call your own shots. And so that's your why. That's your purpose. That's your desire. That's your value. Or maybe it's creativity. You just love to think outside the box and paint outside of the lines, and creativity is what you're all about, and you love talking to people, you love building businesses and changing people's lives. Or maybe it's adventure. You love to travel, you love to talk to people and expect the unexpected because you never know what's going to happen when you're talking to people. Or maybe it's just health. You just are so passionate about your own health and you want to help other people. I really believe that a person has to figure out what their values are, what their purpose is when it comes to this business, which is all around home base. So we're going to do a little exercise. It's not going to be a long exercise, and I promise not to go an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes tonight. We're going to get right to the bottom line, to the point here. We're going to talk about discipline, and we're going to help you or assist you to create a game plan so that you can make this happen. And you're going to start making this happen this next week coming up. So what I'd like you to do is play along with me. Grab a blank piece of paper somewhere, and I'll give you a second or so to find a blank piece of paper. Hopefully it's not written on either side, because we'll use both sides of the piece of paper. And what I'd like you to do is grab a pen or a pencil or something that you can write with, and on that piece of paper, I would like you to write at the very top, my life. Just write MYLIFE, my life. Okay? Now, on that piece of paper, draw a large circle. The bigger the circle, the better. Okay? So you have a blank piece of paper. You wrote at the top, my life. You made a big circle in the middle of the piece of paper. And what I'd like you to do right now as I'm talking with you, so listen, but please use this as a workshop. Actually, now, of course, if you're listening to this on a CD and you're driving, pull off the road, or you can listen to this later and do this exercise later. I'd like you, starting right now, to begin to write inside that circle anything at all that you desire. Anything you desire to be, do, or have. It doesn't matter. And the time frame is your life. Now, we don't know if it's 10 years from now, 100 years from now. Every 100 years, there's a different group of people that come on the planet, most likely. So we have no idea how long we have here. Our time is limited, and unfortunately, most people don't think about that. They just go through, the Mondays and the weeks and the months and the years like they're going to be here forever. Well, we don't like to think about it, but the truth is we only have a certain amount of days, weeks, months, and years on this planet. So what do you desire? What do you want to be, do, and have? And I'd like you to start writing in that circle of my life anything. And you don't have to about, well, how's it going to happen? Am I going to be able to accomplish this? Maybe you want to have a star on the Walk of Fame. It doesn't matter. It can be anything. Maybe you're going to work for the Olympics. Maybe you're going to be the top rep in your company. Maybe you're going to have property all over the country. It doesn't matter. I want you to tap into your imagination based on the foundational work that you did last week. Last week we asked you to construct a game plan interview. We also asked you to start dreaming of what your perfect day would be like, and we asked you writing that down and putting it on paper. We also asked you to start thinking about some goals. So this shouldn't be new to you. This should be something you've been thinking about for the last 7 days at least. So as I'm talking right now, hopefully you're writing some things. Now, if you're sitting there saying, I don't know what I want, or I'm not sure how this is going to happen, I want you to take a look at that pattern of thinking or that pattern of being, because perhaps this is the one thing that's getting in your way. You really don't know what you want, and that's why you're not able to create any result in your business, because you're conflicted, because you say you want one thing, but you're not following through. So this is your life here. This is your life. So I want you to play as big as you can. Take all of the limits off and just write whatever comes to mind. You should be writing right now as you're listening to my voice. What do you desire in your whole lifetime? What do you want to be? What do you want to do? What do you want to have? Maybe you want a brand new red Corvette. Well, put it down. Maybe your neighbors are going to think you're vain. Put it down anyway. Maybe you want to travel the world. You want to go on vacations, cruises, 4 times or 5 times a year and have the government pay for it because it's going to be a business expense. Think big. Think as big as you can. What do you want to be, do, and have in your lifetime? We were doing a call a couple years ago, and we had about 25, 30 people on the call from London, and I'll never forget this. A lady said she wanted to open up an orphanage. That was her dream. So if that's what lights you up, or you want to give money to charity, write that down. This is your whole life. Anything you want to be, do, and have in your whole life. In other words, the worst thing that could happen to you is you go to the nursing home, or worse yet, you go to the grave without accomplishing these things. You want to accomplish these things. Before you leave this planet, you definitely want to either be or do or have these things. So please write those things in that circle which says, my life. And at this time, I'm going to ask you to put your pens or your pencils down. The test is over, okay? So please stop. Stop writing, okay? Now, hopefully you participated. You began to write things down, and it might not be perfect, but you started getting some of your passions and your thoughts down on paper in that circle, my life, based on the work that you did last week. And hopefully the foundation is the game plan interview, the journaling, and the goals and the homework that I asked you to do last week, okay? All right. Now let's get a little more specific. Turn the piece of paper over so you're looking at the other side, which is blank, and write at the top of the piece of paper 12 months. 12 months, okay? And then draw another circle around the same size. And what I'd like you to do is think about what you wrote on the other side, and if you want to look at it, you can, and ask yourself, what are you committed to being, doing, and having in the next 12 months, okay? And please start writing right now. So anything that you are really passionate about having or being or doing in the next 12 months. You're in this course for either 12 months or 2 years. These are the things that you want to work on, to attract or to manifest into your business or into your life. And you're really focused, like this is why you are playing the game for the next 12 months, okay? So maybe it's to get to, maybe it's to get to $100,000 of volume. Maybe it's to get to the next pin level. Maybe it's to walk across the stage. Maybe it's to get to a certain income level. Maybe it's to walk away from your job. Maybe it's to take your husband or your wife home from their job. Maybe it's to relocate. I don't know. Only you know, based on your values, based on your purpose, based on your desire and all the work that you did last week, what are you playing for in the next 12 months? So if you write down 1 thing or 10 things or 5 things, that's fine. But you want to focus on just a handful of things that you want to create this year, okay? That you want to be this, or you want to do this, or you want to have this. I've talked to people that have never seen the ocean before. They've never been on a cruise. Maybe that's a dream for you. Maybe you want to travel around the world. You want to do another honeymoon. Who knows? Only you know, but it's really important that you get focused and you write it down. I tell you, it's magical when you know what you want and you put it down on paper. So hopefully you're not just listening to me. You're actually got a circle in front of you and it says 12 months and you're writing stuff in there. Things that you want to achieve or be or have or do in the next 12 months. Now, I find that a lot of people resist this. They resist it because they say, well, what if I write down something and it doesn't happen? Yeah, well, what if you do write down something and it does happen? You see, it's a double-edged sword. So don't let fear get in the way. Just simply tap into your imagination, trust your intuition, and just write down whatever comes to mind. Why are you playing this game for the next 12 months? Only you know, but you got to get it down on paper. Okay, at this point, I'm going to tell you to stop. I'm going to ask you to put your pen or your pencil down. So we asked you to draw a big circle, my life. We asked you to write some things down in that circle. Now we just asked you to focus on the next 12 months of your life. Now we're going to focus on this month. This month. So grab another piece of paper, another blank piece of paper, and at the top of the piece of paper, write this month, and then draw that circle. Now, what I'd like you to do is write in that circle. This might take 30 seconds. This might take 10 seconds. Write in that circle what you desire to be, do, and have this month. So at the end of this month, you'll know if you've accomplished it or you haven't accomplished it, okay? So based on, your life in the next 12 months, what are you focusing on now? Like right now, in the next 3 weeks, the next 4 weeks, the next 30 days, this month. What do you want to be, do, and have? Now, maybe it's just one thing, and you're done. I just want to get to the next level, and I'm only 50 points away, and I'm going to do it. And the contest is going to happen, and I'm going to recruit 10 people this month, or whatever. I don't know. Only you know. But you have to understand what it is and have clarity about it, okay? So hopefully you're writing some things down, and it's probably not going to take you 5 minutes here because you already know. You already know based on the work that you did last week, the game plan interview, the journaling, and the goals. Now, if you found that you didn't do the work, I'm going to ask you to go back and do the work. I'm going to ask you to go back and listen to the CD or listen to the archive call and actually spend some time creating that on paper first, because I'm going to tell you, what we're going to talk about tonight is not going to make a lot of sense, and it probably is not going to serve you in the long run unless, of course, you've done the work of building the foundation. And the foundation is really your desire. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to put your pencils or your pens down. This month, 12 months in my life, you have 3 circles, and those circles are based on your desire, what you want to accomplish. Now, since 1994, the time I got involved in network marketing, and through all of my years of coaching and training, not only in the telemarketing industry, but also in the direct sales network marketing industry, what I've learned is this. Talk is cheap. Talk is really cheap. I've heard a lot of people say, yeah, I'm going to build a large organization, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to recruit, and I'm going to be a full-time person, and I'm going to build a giant organization, and I'm going to quit my job in a couple months. I've heard a lot of people talk. What I've realized is that talk is cheap. Now, talk is important, but the minute a person begins to schedule it, like they create a plan on paper, that's when it can become a reality. It's just like building a house. A person can talk forever, I want to build a house, and I want to move, and I'm going to, build this house from scratch, and they could talk forever and ever, and they could drive you crazy. But the minute they start getting it on paper and submitting plans to an architect or bringing it to the town hall and then making it legal and moving forward, then at that point you say, wow, these people are serious. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people in this industry, they just talk. They talk about what they're going to do, and they don't do anything. Dreaming about something, it's important. But scheduling it, getting it on paper, that's when it becomes real. So based on your game plan interview that you did last week, based on how many hours a day you're going to work your business, based on how many days you're going to work your business, I'd like you to go to the preview section of your business builder for this month. So you want to open up your day planner, your business builder and action planner, and you want to go to the preview section of your business builder. And the preview section has a blue tab, and it says preview, and you want to open it up to this month. Now, what you'll notice about the preview pages is they all have gray borders around all of the pages. And you'll find that there's 2 pages for every single month. So open it up to this month and then look at the calendar at a glance. You'll see the beginning of the month all the way to the end on 2 pieces of paper, and you'll find that there are gray borders around the 2 pieces of paper. Now, at the very top, at the right-hand corner, you are going to see something that says monthly contact goals, weekly contact goals, and daily contact goals. If you haven't written any numbers there, I would like you to write some numbers for this month. So you should have 3 numbers. You should have, number 1, a number for your monthly contact goal. So what's your goal between now and the end of the month? Like, not how many people you're going to dial the phone with, not how many messages you're going to leave on machines, but actually how many people will you talk to between now and the end of the month. Now, a lot of times people say, well, how do I know? Well, I know that. We don't know for sure, but we can create something first in our head, then on paper, and then make it happen. People do this all the time, like my example about a house. And, of course, when people start talking this way, a lot of people will pipe up and say, well, how are you going to do that? How are you going to pay for it? Where are you going to find the land? And, they bring in fear and they bring in hesitation and all this kind of stuff, right? Well, it's the same way with business. You might have these thoughts that are going through your head. Well, how do I know how many people I'm going to talk to? And who am I going to talk to? And where am I going to find these names and numbers? And I don't know. I just don't know. I just kind of do my business, when people, I meet them, I talk to. Yeah, I know. And nothing gets accomplished. We want to create a predictable plan. And the way that I know how to create a predictable plan is first to think it, and then to ink it, and then to make it happen. That's it. What if your life depended on you thinking it, inking it, and making it happen? Like, what if your life depended on it? Well, it does. Your life does depend on it. I mean, if you really did the exercises last week about the goals and the journaling and the game plan, and you just wrote those circles down, I'm here to tell you, your life does depend on it. If you're really serious about reinventing yourself and creating a new life, it's important that you get this down on paper so that you have something to be accountable to, something that you can look at and you can craft and you can change. Now, there's no such thing as perfection here. If you write down the number 1,000 or the number 100 or the number 10, we're not going to say you failed or you succeeded. It's not all about that. It's really about having a track to run on, and it's not really about perfection. It's about getting better results. That's really what it's about. So if you find yourself saying, Greg, well, how do I know how many people I'm going to talk to? Well, just make it up. Pick a number out of the air. And in the next 12 months or 24 months, we can kind of craft this to what's going to happen based on your desire. Okay? So you should have a number for monthly contact goal. Then you want to break it down. And here's where you just do a little bit of mathematics. You want to break it down to weekly. Now, everybody on this call is different. We got people that are doing this 1 day a week. We got people that are doing it 6 days a week or 7 days a week and a couple hours a day. It's all going to depend on your commitment level and your desire. See, if you want to make $100,000 a month or even a year and you're only willing to work 1 hour a day and maybe you only talk to 2 people a month, let's face it, it's not congruent. So you want to get your dream or your desire and your discipline or your activity congruent so they match, so that what you're saying and what you're doing is on the same page, okay? All right, so you should have a number for weekly contact goal, okay? Now, if this is, a little bit of scary for you or unknown for you and you've never done this before, you're in the right place because this is, getting outside of your comfort zone. It's doing something totally different that you probably have never done before. But if you're tired of the results that you have, then this is a good thing. So being afraid or being intimidated or saying, Greg, I don't know about this, that's okay. It's a good place to be. The last thing you want to do on that preview section is you want to put down daily contact goals. So you should have a number for monthly, you should have a number for weekly, and you should have a number for daily, okay? All right, so that's your preview. And what I would suggest is find people within your organization that you can work together with, almost like a team, and create a 30, 60, 90-day blitz. I mean, wouldn't this be fun that for this month and then next month and the month after, you play this numbers game, that you come up with monthly goals, weekly goals, and daily goals, and you find 2 or 3 people that you can play with on your team, whether upline, downline, crossline, and you can keep each other accountable, and you can play it like a game without any judgment. In other words, if you put down you're going to talk to 25 people today or 25 people this week or 25 people this month and you don't do it, it's not about judging people and putting them down. It's about, hey, encouraging people and lifting them up to the next level, okay? So think about that. You could probably do anything for 90 days, all right? So now go to your prospect section. Your prospect section in your business builder is the red tab. And here is where you're going to put people in the funnel. Remember last week we talked about this giant funnel? And there was 3 stages of the funnel. There's the big mouth of the funnel, which is red, and then there's the middle of the funnel, which is orange, and then the bottom of the funnel, that's blue. Well, here's the game that I play, folks. And I'm not a great prospector. I'm not, perfect at this, but the numbers save me. The numbers are my salvation. I'm being a little dramatic, but I just simply talk to people. That's all I do. The other day I was making some phone calls and left some messages and called some people. It was part of our live prospecting call that we did on Saturday. And for any practical results, I hung up the phone after an hour, and I said, well, I don't know really what I accomplished there. I mean, I talked to a few people, I left a couple messages, but it's not like anything happened immediately. Well, about 5 hours later, somebody called me back, and they said, look, I'm definitely interested in being more organized and consistent. What can you tell me about that? And I thought to myself, if I didn't get out there and just talk to the numbers and talk to the people and plant some seeds, this person would have never found me, would have never called me back. Same thing with you right now on this call. If I never made a call to somebody, that made a call to somebody, that met somebody, that put me in front of somebody, I wouldn't be on this call with you today. And it's amazing how it happens. But at this point in my life, I just treat it as a numbers game. There's some people that say, yes, this is exactly what I need. And there are other people that say, no, this is not what I need. Please don't call me anymore. And guess what, folks? It's going to be the same way with you. I don't care how nice of a person you are, or how slick of a person, or how good of a salesperson you are, or how terrible a salesperson you are. If you just commit yourself to your desire or your dream, and you just get out there and you talk to people on a consistent, religious basis, no pun intended, you're going to find people that are going to say, yeah, I've been praying about this. I've been thinking about this. Yeah, I want to look at this. Tell me more. And it's just going to be a numbers game. But the secret is keeping yourself focused and playing the numbers in such a fashion that you have consistency. And through the process of consistency, you're going to have predictability. So here's the homework for this week, and it's really simple. I'd like you to come up with 200 names and telephone numbers of people that you know. That's all you have to do. Come up with 200 names and telephone numbers of people that you know. Now, the minute I say this, people go, I don't know 200 people. I mean, I just moved here. I'm not really that social. I've heard all the stories in the world. Here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to create a list of 200 names and telephone numbers of people that you know. That's it, okay? Now, a lot of times when people hear me say that, they go, all right, Greg, but you don't understand. The guy that I work with, he's not going to want to know about this. Or my ex-mother-in-law or my ex-wife, no, I don't want them in my business. I don't even want them on my product. I'm not asking you to think that way. I'm just asking you to do something that is very simple and very clear. Come up with a list of 200 names and telephone numbers of people that you know. Now, you don't have to do this all at once, and you don't have to wait until Friday or Saturday night to do this or Sunday day to do this and put this off. Just think about this. If you just came up with, maybe 25 names one day and 25 names the next day, and before you know it, you're halfway there, and you got 100 names, and then you get to 125, 150, then you get to 200 names. It's not that hard, and a lot of the resistance is, just up there in your head. And remember, the course is going to show you your intention. So if you find resistance with this, you might find that resistance showing up elsewhere, okay? So here's what I tell people. Play this like a game. What if we made a deal, and by the way, we're not, but what if we made a deal that I was going to pay you $100 for every name and every telephone number that said that they knew you. In other words, you create a list and you fax it to me, and we just call these people, and they go, yeah, I know Sean, I know Scott, I know Jan, I know Peter, I know Amy. That's it, and I'm just going to give you $100. Now, listen, I'm not going to do that, but let's make it up. Let's play a game that I was going to reward you with $100 for every single name and telephone number that you gave me or you wrote down, and that's it. Now, I'm not asking you to call any of these people, okay? I'm not saying you got to call your ex-mother-in-law or, your ex-boyfriend or girlfriend or your boss. I mean, there's some people on this call that are still working a job, and you may or may not want to call your boss, because if your boss finds out you're running a business on the side, well, they might make it easy for you to go full-time in network marketing tomorrow, just let you go. So you got to use your discretion, and I'm not asking you to think this through as far as will he or will he not, or will he buy, will he not, will he get involved in the business, or in other words, I'm not asking you to play God. Don't play God. The assignment is simple. Come up with 200 names of people that you know and telephone numbers. Now, here's the reason I want you to do it. I want to give you a sense of abundance when it comes to prospecting. Now, here's what I mean by that. If you start playing this game this week and you start calling some of these people and you only have a list of 10 people, and you say to yourself, okay, I got 10 people. I got to call these 10 people about my company and my product, and they all say no, pretty much you're out of business, because your mind is like, oh, look, I called everybody in the world, and everybody told me no, this doesn't work. The reason I want you to create a list of 200 names and telephone numbers is just to give you a sense of abundance, that there's a lot of people out there. Now, some of you on this call have been around your company for 5 years, 10 years, a couple years. You've called these people already. Don't worry about it. Just create a list, because we can teach you how to get referrals. Now, you may or may not want to write these names in your prospect section of your Business Builder right now. In fact, I don't advise it. What I would ask you to do is grab a notebook and just start writing down some names and telephone numbers. You are going to call some of these people, and what I do is simple. I have lead list, I have warm market, I have business cards, and when I get on the phone and I have a conversation with someone, and it's a good conversation, I write them in my prospect section either while I'm talking to them or when I get off the phone. So, you could go out and buy a lead list, or you can fill your day planner with hundreds and hundreds of names, and it'd be really a waste of time. So all I'm asking you to do is come up with 200 names and telephone numbers, and you can write them anywhere you want. What if we played a game like you were going to start, I don't know, maybe a dress shop or a bookstore, and we were going to mail to, say, 200 people, and these 200 people would be people that you know. Well, these are the people I want you to write down, the names and numbers. Or here's another one. Let's say you have a daughter or son that's going to get married, and the first 200 people, guess what? I'm going to pay for them all. Just write down all 200 names and telephone numbers and make out the invitations, and Greg Dwyer is going to pay for them all. What if we played that game? So I want you to play with that kind of creativity, imagination, and freedom. Don't sit there with a pen and go, I don't know anybody. If you need to open up a yellow pages or a white pages, or maybe you send Hanukkah cards, maybe you send Christmas cards, maybe you send birthday cards, maybe you have a yearbook. Use something to tickle your imagination to bring back who you really know. And a lot of us know more than 200 people, and we just don't know that we know that, okay? So the homework for this week is really simple. Come up with 200 names of people that you know. Now, if you don't want to do it, there is an option, and I didn't mention the option, but here it is. For those of you who do not want to write down 200 names and telephone numbers, just come up with 50. And if you want to do that, just come up with 50 names and telephone numbers and do that 4 times. Or there's a plan C. The plan C is real simple. Just come up with 100 names and just do that twice, okay? Now, you're not going to fail this course by coming up with 189 names, and you're not going to achieve or be a great student in this course if you come up with 205 names. It's just the idea that you want to create this sense of abundance. And believe me, whether you come up with 100 names or 150 or 200 or even 700 names, you're never going to run out of people on this planet. Trust me. Every single minute of the day, 3 million people join this planet. So you're never going to run out of people. You're just never going to. And when it comes to referrals, if somebody tells you no about the product or the opportunity, I've learned a long time ago how to ask for referrals, and we're going to teach you that. Okay, so what are we going to say to these people? Hopefully by now you've watched the video, and the video talks about making that trial call. And the trial call is you pick up the phone or you meet somebody in person and you have a conversation either about your product or your opportunity, and it's the first exposure to either your product or your opportunity. Now, I'm not going to tell you the way of doing this, okay? Because first of all, there are hundreds and hundreds of different ways to talk to people about your product and your opportunity. First of all, I'd ask you to go to your upline and say, look, what do we say? Do you have a script? Do you have an agenda? Do you have anything as far as a guideline of what we should say to people, okay? I have a way of doing it, and it's only one way. It's not the only way. In fact, over the years, I've changed it and made it more myself and got different results in the process of making it my own. I will give you some suggestions on this call, and I'll tell you a little bit about how I do it. But I don't want to give you the impression that my way is the only way. I mean, you have an upline, you have a company, you have people who are in this industry that do training, and I don't believe there's just one way. You know, it's not like religion, this is the way it has to be done here. I believe this. You have to talk to people. And what you say and how you say it really matters, but I'm not going to give you the script. I'm not going to say, look, if you say this to 10 people, 9 people are going to join your company or your product, because it's not true. Now, years ago, I had an approach, and I'm going to share with you 2 approaches that I used. And I'm going to explain to you why I used it, and just take it on. If it makes sense to you, fine, and if it doesn't make sense, just throw it out. I started in this industry with sorting through hundreds of people. And when I say hundreds, I'm not exaggerating. I would speak to 100 people a day. I would talk to 25 people, and I'd take a break, and I'd talk to another 25 people, take a break, talk to another 25 group of people, take a break, and then talk to another 25. And I did this part-time. It only took me about 3 or 4 hours to do this. I do not recommend this because, first of all, it was exhausting, and it didn't give me a lot of return on my investment. But where I was emotionally or mentally and where I was in my development, this was my approach. It's what I would call the shotgun approach, okay? At the time, I did not have a lot of money, so I went out to a computer store and I bought a CD of everybody in the United States, and I classified it to a specific town in Connecticut. And I called the white pages. I got all the way from A to M, M as in Mary, and I just cold called all the way through. And what I would say to people was, I understand you're looking for a way to generate another stream of income. Is that still true? And that's the approach that I took. I got on the phone, I introduced myself, and I asked them a question. It would be like this. It'd be, let's say you're in the business of aluminum siding, okay, or vinyl siding on floors, or, that sort of thing, or anything for that matter. Carpet cleaning. Here's another example, carpet cleaning. And you just picked up the phone and you said something like this. You're in the business of carpet cleaning. And you just said something like, oh, I understand you're thinking about cleaning your carpets. Yes or no? Now, if the guy didn't have carpets and they only had tile or they only had linoleum in their house, well, they'd say, no, you're crazy, goodbye, right? And they'd be off the phone within, I would say, about 12 seconds. Some people would say, yeah, I do have carpet, but I'm waiting for, the spring to break before I'm going to have it cleaned professionally. And some people would say, yes, how did you know? That was my approach. Now, the secret for me was the numbers, because here's my statistics. I would talk to 100 people a day, and about 5 to 10 would say, yeah, I've been thinking about this, I've been praying about this, how did you know, who are you, and how did you get my name and number? The other 90 or 95 people would tell me, goodbye, don't call me, no, this is not true, and they'd hang up on me. I do not recommend that style unless you are a type A personality and you can handle major rejection and you just don't care, okay? Maybe you're psychotic and that's why you can do it. I don't recommend that, okay? Now, did it work for me? Yeah, it did. I would sign up people. I'd meet them for Dunkin' Donuts. I'd sign them up. I'd get their friends signed up, and then within a week I'd be in their living room with 12 to 15 people doing a presentation on herbs and alternative vitamins and minerals, okay? But I don't teach that philosophy because what I've learned over the years is like 1 in a million will do it, And there are some people, if you go and talk to some of the leaders in your corporation, you're going to find somebody that talked to 100 or 200 people a day, and that was their approach, and they just got it out of the way and they did it. But for the average person, most people can't do that. So I've learned a different approach that has served me so well, and it has given me so many rewards, not only monetarily, but also with building relationships. And I have to give credit where credit is due. I learned this from a friend of mine, a business partner friend of mine by the name of Peter Mingles. And I'm not going to teach his material because, first of all, it's his material. But you have to understand from the bottom of my heart, had I paid this gentleman $5,000 for his advice on how to prospect, I would have not asked for a penny back. Because here's what I've learned from him. I'm able to call about 10 people, and out of 10 people, I'm able to have 8 good conversations. And out of those 8 good conversations, I would say 2 or 3 or 4 of them will come into my business. So what I've learned is I don't have to spend 4 to 5 hours on the phone calling hundreds and hundreds of people per day and having 95% of them hanging up on me. I have learned through Peter Mingles how to create a safe environment so that I can have a conversation with anybody about anything. And like I say, I'm not exaggerating. If I had sent this gentleman $5,000 for this business advice, prospecting advice, I would have never asked for my money back. So I'm going to give you a little information about this, and you may or may not try it on. I think you'd be very foolish not to follow up and learn a little bit about it at least, and then see if it's for you or not. So here's how it works. There are 3 phases in my mind when I do prospecting. Number 1, I call it first base, second base, and third base. It's pretty simple if you think about it. What I do is I have a list of prospects, people that I know that are in direct sales or network marketing. And I simply pick up the phone and I make phone calls. The first base for me is what we call an icebreaker. And what I'm looking to do is simply to have a conversation with someone to break the ice, to create a safe environment so that I can have a heart-to-heart conversation with a complete stranger. Some people say, well, how in the world do you do that? I mean, you called Susan out of the blue. You don't know her. You're calling 5 states away. How in the world can you create a safe environment where you're having a heart-to-heart conversation with a complete stranger? I can do it, okay? And I can teach you how to do it. And I'm also going to ask you to listen to what Peter teaches during the week so that you can try this on to see if you want to use this technique, okay? Now, if you're happy with the results that you're getting using your script or what your upline is telling you, fine. By all means, stick with it. But I have found that this has worked marvelous for me, and the results are in my paycheck, my commissions. So the first part of the game is I pick up the phone and I introduce myself. Now, if I'm calling Susan, I don't call Susan and say, "Hi, Susan. My name is Greg Dwyer. I'm calling you from Diamond Mine Seminar. You must have clicked on something." What I've learned a long time ago is that when people pick up the phone and they answer my call, they weren't expecting me. They weren't sitting there going, "Oh, I wish this guy Greg would call." And most likely when you guys call people, whether it's your warm market or cold market or leads, they're doing something else. They're preoccupied. They're changing the baby. They're washing the car. They're doing spring cleaning. They're doing something else. So you are literally interrupting them, okay? So you're interrupting their life. And, of course, hopefully they have a life and they're not just sitting there in front of the TV all day. But they have 2 reactions to your phone call, especially if they don't know you. If they don't know you, they say to themselves, this guy or this woman is a salesperson, and I'm going to get off the phone as soon as I can, okay? It's like a knee-jerk reaction. You ever go in a store and maybe you're looking for a purse or you're looking for a brand-new car or maybe you're looking for a stereo system or whatever, appliances, and the salesperson comes up to you, "May I help you? Can I help you?" What do you say? "No, I'm just looking." And you could be ready to buy that car, but that's what you're going to say anyway. It's a knee-jerk reaction. So what I've found out is that when people pick up the phone, like I'm calling Susan, and I go, "Hello, Susan," I know that she is going to want to get me off the phone as soon as possible if she thinks this is a sales call or this is about a presentation, about a product or an opportunity. Now, if I know Susan and she's my sister-in-law, it's a little bit different because I do know her.